too young to die. Who will take care of you, how you get by when you're too old to work and you're too young to die? You don't ask for favors when your life is through. You've got a right to what's coming to you. Your boss gets a pension when he is too old. You helped him retire, you're out in the cold. And you're too old to work, too old to work when you're too old to work, and you're too young to die. Who will take care of you, how you get by when you're too old to work and you're too young to die? They put horses to pasture, they feed them on hay. Even machines get retired someday. The bosses get pensions when their days are through. Big pensions for them, brother, nothing for you. And you're too old to work, too old to work. When you're too old to work, you're too young to die.
And this is The World of Work, and I'm your host, Shep Cohen. Our guest today is Oreste DAversa. He's the author of Life Beyond the Pandemic. If your livelihood has been affected by COVID-19 and you don't know what to do next, Oreste DAversa, I knew I was going to mess up your name, is an excellent person to go to and reading his book, where you should begin your journey in a new direction. Learn how to restart, re-engineer, and rebuild your career with a life plan blueprint, using the tools and techniques needed to get you to improve your life and move ahead with new directions. Starting over is always a challenge, and it's more of a challenge even now because of the pandemic. But Oreste has thought about these things, has come up with a lot of good ideas, has worked practically with people as clients who he's helped developed their own businesses, etc. And we're going to talk all about that this afternoon. Oreste, thank you for being on The World of Work. I appreciate your joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me on as a guest.
When was it, when you were younger, was there anything that inspired you to change your life?
Well, I guess I've always known I was here to help serve people and make a difference in people's lives. And as I got older, the calling got stronger. And what I did learn as I got older is I'm big on giving people practical knowledge that they could use and not blue sky theory.
Are there any mistakes that you made when you were younger that you have turned around as using them as advice for your clients?
Oh, sure. I mean, in retrospect, it's always better to have job security, but that's a double-edged sword. So I tell young people starting, realistically now, you're going to have multiple careers. Years ago, you were set for maybe one job, 20, 25, 30 years. Now, in the world of work, we're all at the mercy of the marketplace. So it's good to be prepared for multiple careers in one's life. And one of those careers should be a stable one. That is, in public service or teaching and things of that nature. Because once you finish career number one, you have the ability for career number two and career number three, or even career number four.
You, aside from writing books, you've written 6, 7, 8 books. Aside from that, you work practically with clients as a coach. Tell us a little bit about that business and how you what you do for clients.
Yeah, I'm a business coach, consultant, and trainer. In my role as a business coach, I give people guidance. As a business consultant, I actually do the work with the client. And as a trainer, I teach clients what to do in their business. But as a coach, I give people guidance. And really, some people have the idea of going into business for themselves, but they need to have a reality check. And really, the most important document which gives them the reality check is the business plan. The business plan really asks the hard questions of, do you have what it takes to go into business financially and otherwise? And are you clear on what you're going to sell, who you're going to sell it to, how you're going to sell it to, and be prepared for profits and losses. So I help people write business plans, or if they've started doing their business and they're good at what they do, they may need help in marketing and sales, getting their name out there in the marketplace. So I help clients getting their name in the marketplace for little to no money, so to speak, so they can make more profits and spend less time trying to get clients. But I've met quite a few people who are very good at what they do, but they don't know how to bang their own drum and feel comfortable doing that. And I help them with that, with either traditional marketing or now digital marketing.
Now, the business plan, is it actually a plan that you write out, or what does it look like?
Yeah, it's a very in-depth document where you identify the major pieces of the business. Example, what type of business is it going to be? It's going to be a corporation, an LLC, a subchapter S. How are you going to market? How are you going to bring your goods and services to market? Do you need a brick and mortar situation? Will you be working out of the home? Do you have a strategic marketing and sales plan to get clients? What's your fixed costs going to be until the business takes off? So it's an actual document, and that document will be needed if you choose to go to a bank or the Small Business Association of the government to get loans, and or if you're even going to ask for money from friends and relatives. That's the blueprint of what you're going to do with your business, how you're going to do it, and how long is it going to take to get there.
When a client comes to you, do they have any idea that a blueprint like that is necessary, or does it come as a shock to a lot of people?
Well, some do and some don't. A lot of people just think, I'm good at what I do. I'm going to put a key in a storefront and I'm in business. And for many people, it's a reality check. And they're asked to answer the tough questions of their accountant, and also getting an attorney to protect their assets. But for the most part, if someone's just been working a job their whole life, starting a business is very radical to them. And the whole idea of running a business now is completely new. Also, the mindset. You're going from being an employee to being an employer, with possibly having employees under you. And a lot of people need assistance with making that adjustment. And that's where I help them with policies, procedures, role play, teaching them how to really shift their minds. Because I meet a lot of talented people. We all have talents. And now it's a matter of taking that talent and monetizing it.
And even marketing you help someone with?
Yes, marketing. Now, in this day and age, we have traditional marketing, which is mailers and things like postcards, things of that nature, and digital marketing being the internet. And I assist people with creating what's called a marketing and sales master plan, where we get a laser beam focus on the target market, how are they going to approach their target market, and what investment in time and money needs to be made to reach their target market.
What type of businesses do they create?
Well, many times service businesses are the easiest ones to create, because you don't need overhead. You can create a business out of your home. Now, especially now, what we all know what's going on with the mixed economy, they're calling it, because some jobs now are in an office, some jobs are at home, or the mix. They work in an office and at home. But a service business now can be created any place, anytime, anywhere, and especially with the tools that are available that are, I won't say easy to use, but they're more understandable than they were 25 years ago, where you can create an online presence with a website, a shopping cart, advertising, and in social media and such.
So the pandemic, to a certain extent, as devastating as it has been and as brutal as it's been to some businesses, it's changed the thought process about where you can work and working at home, and how has that affected your clientele?
Well, it's changed the paradigm. You don't necessarily need to go to work in an office anymore. Furthermore, many people who had ideas can actually put these ideas into fruition. and they can create small businesses, because we're hearing more and more, like the person who gets rave reviews for making their cookies, and now they're baking cookies at home and selling them on the internet. Or someone who's an avid fisherman now is creating fly fishes at home and selling them on the internet. All right, so now they have the ability to really be a one-person factory, so to speak, and all they need access to is the post office to mail their products. Services, on the other hand, can be delivered just the way we're having this conversation, via telephone and or teleconference.
Do you have individual instruction, or do you work with a group of people when you give advice as a coach?
Well, I do both. I've also created online classes. So I've taken my book, Life Beyond the Pandemic, and I've taken that and created an online class. So I offer people different price points to work with me and different tools to work with me. So they really, if someone wants to get the knowledge of what I possess, it's as cheap, for lack of a better word, as an ebook, to a whole complex situation of getting online classes and coaching and consulting. So there's multiple price points, and I teach that to my clients as well, where you can have different entry points into your business.
You've mentioned coaching, training, consulting.
Right.
What are the differences or similarities?
Well, coaching, unfortunately, those three words have been bantered around in our society. So that's why when I speak to someone, I explain them what they are. Coaching is really offering people guidance, where the client does the work, they do the work, they're taught what to do, and then they bring the work back to me, and then we review it together. Consulting is I help them do the actual deliverable. Like, for instance, the business plan, as we chatted before, I will help them write the business plan and deliver to them a finished business plan. Training, sometimes people are a little further ahead, and they may have 2 or 3 employees. And I also happen to teach sales training, beginner sales training, selling for non-selling professionals. So that's where I would teach their employees and themselves on how to sell and market. But the internet has opened up a huge opportunity to really bring your products and or services to the marketplace at costs that were unheard of years ago.
If someone comes to you with an idea and you don't think that it's a reasonable idea for that person, are you going to try to discourage them or move them in a different direction? How do you handle that type of situation? Or do you encourage them to try and let them ultimately fail if it's not really for them?
Well, a little bit of both. The market will tell you if it likes what you do, but all marketing is testing. Every idea needs to be tested, because as we know, some ideas we thought weren't going to take off have made millions of dollars, and some ideas thought were going to be good were failures. The client's always going to learn something from every experience. I'm a bit older and in my 60s, and there was an idea back in the early 70s and 80s called the pet rock. Someone had the bright idea of putting a regular rock in a little box with holes in it, called it a pet rock, and the guy was a millionaire. Okay. Now, will that idea fly in this day and age? Probably not. All right. But the amount of knowledge that was gleaned from market testing, creating design, understanding how to get your product to the market, you'll carry that on to your next idea. So even though it's not wasted time and energy, but everyone wants a guarantee, and unfortunately in the world of business, there are no guarantees. The market always tells you what it needs, wants, and desires, and you're the one who, with the market's help, will determine if it's a viable product or service. And I always encourage people before they start anything to do market research. Market research can be as simple as asking friends and relatives on it, or it could be more sophisticated as going to websites now that offer a service for a small fee, and based on how much marketing information you want, you'll pay a higher fee. You can go to a website called SurveyMonkey, put in 10 to 20 questions, tell SurveyMonkey who your target market is, and it will send out your survey to that target market, and you'll get the replies. So you can do some market research yourself at costs, again, that are much cheaper than they once were years ago. You don't have to hire a marketing firm unless you want to get into really detail and specifics.
Is an aha moment required for someone who's going into business?
No, but they usually have one, because all of a sudden they'll see an opportunity. They'll say, why didn't I think of that sooner? Or why isn't that in the marketplace? You know, what's good about being an entrepreneur in this day and age, again, you can act like a big business and no one will ever know. So if you got an idea, between government available programs, the state of New Jersey offers lots of state funded workshops. Some are no cost or low cost. So there's plenty of people to bounce your idea off before you commit true hard dollars and serious time to.
Do you have any examples of someone, like an aha moment that you might have had or some of your clients might have had?
Well, for me personally, it was discovering the ability that I could take my book, and I taught myself vis-a-vis online classes, which I encourage people to do. I've taken the book, Life Beyond the Pandemic, and I created an online class with audio, videos, downloads. So it was amazing to me how video now can be done by anyone. And I'm no video expert, and I'm no cameraman, but I was able to take my own book and create an online class for it. And I encourage people now, whatever idea you have, to really examine it. Now, with search engines, again, it's not like going to the library like it was years ago, getting dozens and dozens of books. You could do a wealth of online market research at your fingertips in your pajamas before you even think about bringing an idea to market.
And once you do that, what do you do when you bring it to market? You have all your arms with all this information. What do you do next?
Well, then you start seeing if people want to buy it. You start going to trade shows. You start going to, based on the product or service you're offering. Let's say you have a new cookie, all right? You created a plant-based cookie that hits all the right notes. It doesn't have fat. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. So now you start market testing. You start going to local stores. You'll see if they want to carry it for you. You get feedback from them. You go to, hopefully they'll be here again sooner than later. You go to block parties or, events that are outside. You get yourself a little table. You give away free samples. You also sell. You also start testing the waters, and you start seeing if people are willing to buy your cookie at individual or by the pound or whatever. So you have practical means to test your idea with little or no money down, so to speak, and right in your backyard. Because as time goes by, you're seeing more and more block parties. I forgot what they're called. The name escapes me right now. Every town usually has some type of public event, and you can get a table there usually for a song for a few dollars, and you start testing the waters, and you start showing the market your products and services before you commit to, say, getting a bakery or a storefront.
And what other ways, aside from these public events that the municipality might have, does government play a role in helping people to start a business?
Well, there's federal help with the Small Business Administration, and then there's state help. And the state website, there you could sign up with the state of New Jersey, and they'll start giving you free newsletters that will show you the events and classes that are being held in your area. If memory serves, usually each region has got a small business, either some type of incubator or some type of school that will teach you the details of running a business: marketing, accounting, sales, product design, packaging, and such. So there's quite a bit of information out there for little money or no money at all. And there's plenty of classes online that are available with companies like Udemy.com, where you can learn anything that you need to know. Furthermore, there are also website services around the world where you can get logo design for a few dollars. You can get all types of flyers made. The main thing is to obviously understand what to put on those flyers, which is called copy. But again, it's very possible now to run a small business, either based on how the COVID situation has affected you, either full-time or part-time, hold on to your job, and you start testing the waters for a small business. Now, with the world of work, as I mentioned before, you can have both. You can have a business and have a job full-time. Many people like the fact that they could have a full-time job and benefits and cover their family with health insurance and such, yet they could start a small business from home through a computer and have a storefront on a computer and start bringing in extra income that way, and have their cake and eat it, so to speak. Have a job and run their own business.
So hold on to your job is still good advice. I know that was always the advice that I would give people in the past, and it seemed as if things were changing now, but I'm glad to hear that that's still good advice.
Well, a job, as the saying goes, as our parents told us, you've got job security and fringe benefits. Now, the interesting thing, I'm sure you've heard, and I'm sure your listeners have heard, is the Great Resignation, which is an interesting concept, that people are just walking away from their jobs.
That's right. That's why I was thinking earlier when I was saying that, things might have been changing now, because people just resigned.
Exactly. I'm kind of concerned what these people are doing for employment and for money, but also another component that I've added to it, and we knew about this at the turn of the century, was the great retirement of the baby boomers retiring. So I think it's a perfect storm. I'm not going to call it a revolution. I'm going to call it an evolution, where you had the COVID situation, you had the Great Resignation, and then you have the Great Retirement. And it all converged at one time. So I think there's a huge demand for jobs in this day and age. There are more jobs than there are people to fill them. All right. But by the same token, if you are entrepreneurish, you have the ability now to start at it without making major commitments of finances, just more sweat equity.
Now, baby boomers, although they are retiring, as I understand, they're not retiring at the rate that was predicted, just because they need their pensions or whatever are not what they thought they would be.
Correct, and the cost of living, in the metropolitan area, the cost of living is much higher than other parts of the country. So you'll have baby boomers retiring in word, but not in deed. Meaning they may say they're retired, but they're still working, or they may start a second job. My opinion, baby boomers are always going to be working in one capacity or another. You're not going to just stop work and just watch the grass grow. I think the opportunities now are so big, and we have so many options now: work, business, your own business, part-time work, part-time business. There are a lot of options, so you really can do what you want in earning a living or a livelihood.
Do you encourage your clients to continue to work somewhat, either part-time or something in that nature after they turn 65 or 70?
No, without question. I think we're all here for a purpose, and work has multiple purposes. The challenge is to find your life purpose and continue to do your life purpose till we're called back to the other side. Besides being a business coach, consultant, and trainer, I'm also a interfaith minister, which means I'm an all-faith minister. I was raised Catholic, but I've become an interfaith minister. And I believe we're all here for a reason and a purpose, and that we have to do our purpose one way or another before we go back to the other side.
And what does that mean exactly, an interfaith minister?
Interfaith minister means that I'm schooled in all the different religions and faiths, traditions, besides the major ones, also things like shamanism and paganism and things like that. So I went to seminary in New York City called a New Seminary, and for 2 years I was taught the different religions and different spiritual traditions of the world.
And how does that help you in your professional life?
Well, how it does is, again, I'm a really big believer that we're all here for a reason and a purpose. And many people are unhappy because they're not really doing their true purpose. And once people find their purpose, They're really happy to do what they're doing. So that's why I differentiate the word work and purpose. We have our true work, then we have a job. What we all like to do is have a job that's our purpose. Like, for instance, yourself. You're technically, your job may be as a broadcaster, but your purpose is helping people. If that makes sense, your work is here to help people. And I see myself in that same regard. Yes, technically my jobs are business owner, business coach, business consultant, so on and so author, university lecturer. I have a laundry list of job titles. But my work here is to minister to people in whatever means they need ministering to, be it ministering in work, jobs, life purpose, finding their true calling, so on and so forth.
Does someone's life purpose intersect with their job? And if it doesn't, are they in the wrong occupation?
Well, I think that's the issue now, and I think that's why we have the Great Resignation. I think the younger generation is saying, I'm doing this 9 to 5, and then wake up, go to sleep, wake up, and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. There's got to be more to life than what I'm doing, and I think we're finding people want to associate their life purpose with their job, and or the company they're with is making a difference to the world. Like, for instance, you see some car companies that are associated with helping dogs, rescue dogs. Other companies are associated with helping to build houses for people. So the job may be working at a big box store, but the work is helping people build shelter. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So now my job isn't just a job in the warehouse. I'm making a difference in the world because the pallets I'm picking up are ultimately leading to someone's new home, new habitat. So I think we're seeing more of a slant towards that people are just tired of doing the 9 to 5 and repeat, and they get really tired of that. And the life purpose integrates with that because now I have a reason to wake up in the morning. And that speaks also to, once I'm retired, what do I do? Okay? If you're not living your life purpose, you'll know it because it'll be a grind to get up in the morning. When you are living your life purpose, you enjoy getting up in the morning, you enjoy making a difference in the world, you enjoy helping the world be a better place, you enjoy helping others.
A company, when it's either starting or if it's in business for years, it has a written statement about its purpose. Is that something that is window dressing, or is it something that's real?
No, it's true. And what you're saying, what you're talking about, is the mission statement. Yes. What is the mission of this company? And usually the mission is similar to an individual's life purpose, but it's the life purpose of the business, of the entity. That obviously we want all the employees and the employer and the founder to identify with, and the world to identify with, so they understand what your core principles are relative to what you do, how you do it, and why you're doing it.
At that, we'll take a break now. This is The World of Work. I'm speaking this afternoon with Oreste DAversa. Did I say it right that time?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Who's the author of Life Beyond the Pandemic, and we're speaking about that book and his other work in conjunction with the book. We're going to take a break now, and we'll be back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Darlene Love, and I'm listening to Shep Cohen. He's a rebel on WDVR-FM. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Gene. Tune in Fridays at 5 for 2 hours of energetic rock and pop that'll help you to remember what it felt like to really rock back in your hippie days. That's Anything Goes. Fridays at 5 to 7, only here on WDVR.
Tune in Friday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. and relive the big band years right here on WDVR.
Hi folks, every Saturday on the original Bluegrass Junction, we share with you the best in traditional bluegrass music. Join me, Rich Evans, this Saturday, 1 to 4 p.m. on Penn Jersey Radio, 89.7 WDVR, Delaware Township.
Hi, this is Al Burke, your host of Saturday Night Jazz. Listen in for the cool sounds of jazz with me from 9 p.m. to midnight, only on WDVR FM.
Boom, boom, doo-doo, 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 boom, boom, doo-doo, 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 boom, boom, doo-doo, 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 boom. We plant the food, we drive the cab, we load the ship, we run the lab, we build the bridges, we fly the plane, we do the work. This is our day. We do the work. Boom, boom. We do the work. Boom, boom. We do the work. This is our day. We time paid. We clean.
And we do the work here on WDVR, and we're speaking this afternoon with someone who does the work also, Oreste DAversa, who is the author of Life Beyond the Pandemic, and he's a coach, a trainer, and much more. Oreste, if there was someone who you could pick to go to lunch with or breakfast or dinner with, be anyone in particular?
Well, I don't like to bring my religious beliefs to the table, but Jesus was a very interesting fellow, and that the way he behaved and what he stood up for and how he went against the societal norms to help people and to get things done. So I admire him in more than just a religious capacity, but he's someone that I really look up to. And in modern day age, I guess it's former President Obama and some other leaders that really have done what they had to do and go against the odds in modern day life.
What would you talk about?
With who?
With Jesus.
Well, I would say, why are things the way they are? Why is man so evil at times? There's goodness in man and there's evil in man. Why does man choose evil over good? I mean, let's face it, we have everything on this planet. There's plenty of food for everyone. It's a beautiful planet. We have everything we need, want, desire. We have the ability, especially in this country, to any opportunity, whatever you want to do in this country, if you're motivated enough, you have the will and the desire. The world is your oyster here. But yet there are people who are starving. Yet there's tragedy, as you know what's happened recently in the schools. Why? Why is man this way? Why doesn't man get satiated? Why isn't man fulfilled that he has to want more?
And in your book, you mentioned different areas of focus: the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical. How do they play a role in what you do as a coach, as a trainer?
Well, I think we all have those four components. We're made out of the spiritual, which is the life force, the emotional, which is our feelings, the mental, which is our mind, and then the physical, and it actually manifests that way. So everything starts in the world of spirit, in the world of the ethers. So we need to, if you want something to manifest, the reality of it is you want to start thinking about it using techniques like we call guided imagery or creative visualization. Those are fancy words for daydreaming. If you want a business or you want a new job to go to, you want to start thinking about that and start putting that in motions in your mind. Emotions, you want to connect that thought with a good feeling of, I want to find a new job, a better job. I want to start my own business. I want to be successful at it. I'm going to enjoy doing it. Mental, you need that component to really start putting the pieces together, writing the business plan, writing the new resume, writing a resume that people are going to want to read, a cover letter that gets someone's attention, a business plan that people are going to invest in or give you money in. And then finally, the physical, that's when it actually manifests it. That's when it actually happens in the real world. So those components even though for the most part we just pay importance to the physical, the reality of it is we're made up of all those components, and all those components come into play when we do things. And if any of the components are out of balance, we experience dis-ease. And physical dis-ease is easy to see, isn't it? Oh, the person's got cancer, they have leukemia, they have this. Mental disease, that's a little more tricky. But you can tell if someone is mentally unstable. And then the other things we don't talk about, but we know when we see them, people have emotional upsets, and they're emotional off-center. And then spiritual, they're not connecting to anything greater than themselves, no matter what they think it is, be it God, be it a specific deity or a prophet or the earth. Mother Nature, we look at Mother Nature, and she supplies us with everything we need: air, water, food. But yet, we neglect her, and then we wonder why things are the way they are.
Now, you mentioned that a business plan is something that has to be very detailed in writing, and you help your clients create them. How about a life blueprint? Is that something that you put in writing, or is that something you just live?
No, exactly. You start with it because, as the saying goes, plan your work and work your plan. So what the life blueprint does, it gives you a point of reference to where you are and where you want to be and how you're going to get there. So the life blueprint gives you a road to travel. It's like building a house. You just don't say, I'm going to put a house up here. Okay, this is a nice lot, I'm going to throw a house here. You build, you go to an architect. The architect helps you put together a blueprint. You give the blueprint to a builder, and you start building a house. And within a few weeks or months, you're living in that house. So it's the same thing with the life blueprint. You're starting now where you are based on life situation that's going on. Be it you may have lost your livelihood. Now, when I say livelihood, I mean either a job or a business or both. Some people have lost both. Some people have been doing the job and the business thing already, and now both of them have been decimated. Some industries, in my opinion, and some jobs will not be coming back, period. End of story. All right? So now people need to think, what are they going to do with the skills, education, and the innate skills that they know? How are they going to make a livelihood and make a living from this point forward?
How do you motivate yourself to come up with a new life blueprint?
Well, what you do, you start taking basic inventories. And inventories are just words meaning, what do you have? Where do you want to go? How are you going to get there? In the world of work, it's you want to do a skills inventory and you want to do an education inventory. Now, the good thing is many people have innate skills that they take for granted that the marketplace needs, wants, and desires. Example, if you're good with your hands, that's a very important and marketable skill. All right? So some people may be accountants, but guess what? They could also put together a table, a bench, a this, or that. So now you become more attractive to an employer because now they may need an accountant in their inventory area, and you'll do now. You become twice as important to them because now you understand accounting / inventory, and you can give guidance in helping out with putting things together in that part of the facility. So a lot of people take for granted what I call talents and attributes and other innate skills that people have.
How about young people? If someone is a so-so student but is good with their hands, like you mentioned, should they be encouraged to maybe become a plumber or an electrician, which they'll do, probably do much better than they might do otherwise financially?
Well, without question. I mean, the reality of it is, we all need the trades. All of us need to flush a toilet, and all of us need to wash our dishes, and someone's got to do that. It's easier to get an appointment with a heart surgeon than it is to find a good plumber. All right,
Absolutely.
And the trades that my father was a bricklayer. Okay, so I'm familiar with the world of blue collar, and there's no shame in working blue collar. Furthermore, again, all of us, especially in the sound of my voice and the sound of this program, everyone lives in a house and an apartment. Sooner or later, it's going to need a paint job. It's going to need a new stoop. It's going to need a new ceiling. It's going to need a new this. It just happens. Someone's got to do it, okay? And it's a member of the trades, all right? You're going to need a carpenter. You're going to need an electrician. You're going to need a plumber. You're going to need a stonemason. So the trades will never go away. And now, if someone at a young age understands that, I think the path financially can and is quite lucrative. English translation, you'll do pretty good in any of the trades.
And how do you get a young person to understand that?
Well, you've got to see what motivates them. The textbook answer is they offer assessment tests that you could take, and I always suggest taking 3 of them, just don't take one. And the assessment test that they sell, either online or you could purchase, ask a series of questions, and based on the answers to those questions, determine what the person's likely livelihood could be in the future. All right. Also, we have to teach our young people the concept of work ethic and the importance of work ethic. And we also should be teaching our young people that become young adults that furthermore become older adults and become productive members of society, the importance of money, how to use money, how to make money, how to spend money, how to invest money. And I think that needs to be brought to the table now more of an urgent nature than it was once before.
I had until this summer, spring, I had a man who was our gardener, and he just passed away. But he worked till he was 90.
Wow!
And he did a wonderful job, old school. He cut everything by hand, and my wife asked him, "Why don't you mentor someone, get someone ready?" And he said, "I've tried.
Right.
No one wants to learn how to do it the hard way."
Well, exactly. And unfortunately, a lot. That's why I'm saying a lot of these professions, a lot of these jobs, a lot of these businesses are not coming back because also the knowledge is not being passed down to a generation that wants it, which makes it very difficult. Like, for instance, finding a good bakery, that's starting to be a thing of the past. Finding good bread, it's a simple thing, but it's getting more difficult to find. So the food's being more mass produced these days, as opposed to you would go to a baker and get a fresh loaf of bread, fresh jelly donuts. Now you go to the supermarket, being Italian, I'm sure everyone's picked that up. The bread isn't crunchy anymore. It's like a sponge, So telling me the bread isn't cooked enough, but a lot of knowledge is not being passed down to current generations or future generations, which is a real shame.
There's an Italian bakery not too far from me in Orange, New Jersey, right off of Route 280, a little hole in the wall.
Wow.
Which has one called the Sanitary Bakery.
Yeah.
Which has absolutely fabulous bread, it's not soft. The outside is...
It's crunchy, right.
Yeah. But they're very... As these places close down...
Yeah.
You have a baker, but the baker's son doesn't want to become a baker.
Exactly. It's a lot of hard work, but there's a lot of financial reward in it. But unfortunately, many people, much of the younger generation does not want to do blue collar work or work with their hands. They think the internet's the panacea. Everyone's going to become an internet millionaire, and that's not the reality of life.
So is the best Italian bread in New Jersey and New York?
I think so, but that's if you can find bakeries that still make it the old-fashioned way. That's the tough part.
So why have you written your latest book, Life Beyond the Pandemic?
Well, the main thing which really struck me in the beginning of the pandemic, it's just the wholesale loss of jobs and small businesses in both. That people were losing jobs at a tremendous amount of rate. And also what I was hearing, which was very disturbing to me, was what was being said, not by me, was being said by economists and people in major media, where a lot of these jobs were not coming back, which is very difficult for me to fathom and understand. And from a spiritual point of view, my role is to help people. And I really believe if we're all here for a reason and a purpose, then the Creator has a job for you, or a purpose for you, or a business for you to run. So with that theory in my mind, I believe that just people need the tools, the guidance, and the assistance to find their life purpose. And in finding their life purpose, they'll find a job and or a business to run and be prosperous. And prosperity is whatever you want it to be it financial prosperity, friends and family prosperity, good health prosperity, or all the above.
And who's your audience?
Well, the people who are really drawn to this are usually people between, I would say, who have been working and understand, they're usually on their own. Age-wise, I would say probably between, 30 to 65, or retirees in that area. But people who have been working, now all of a sudden their livelihood is gone, or their livelihood has changed, and now they have to reinvent themselves for the marketplace. But again, with the theory that we're all here for a reason and a purpose, once you find your purpose, you'll find where you're supposed to be it a job and or business.
Oreste, this is your 7th book. How did you start writing in the first place?
Well, it was really out of necessity. I really never considered myself a writer or an author. I just learned over the years that in the world of business, to stand out from the business world, that people who were getting noticed were people who were writing books and articles and things of that nature. And then one thing led to another, and then I kind of saw that people want practical information that they could read and implement and use themselves. So one thing led to another, and I've just been writing books now for the past umpteen years. And now, really, it goes in tandem with my background. My background is 20 years in the technology industry. And really, it's about the essence of all this is information. And that's what technology is all about. The technology business is basically information management. So I'm in the business of moving information, getting information to the right people at the right time to help them on their journey.
And this is the world of work, so let's get a little bit into how you actually, the craft of writing a book. How much time do you spend on it? Where do you write? What resources do you use?
Sure. So I'll speak about my personal experience. I write nonfiction. Some people write fiction. So the mechanics are as follows. You first have a title and subtitle. The subtitle gives a benefit of the title. Then you craft a table of contents. And the table of contents is your outline. You craft the various chapters, and then within the chapters you craft an outline of what you're going to write in the chapter. The classic is tell what you're going to say, what you're going to say it, and say it again. And that's the methodology, the way I write. I offer people a concept, I show an example of that concept, and then I put that concept into action, and I have people write it and do an exercise. That's the way I personally write. Regarding resources, and many of us, it's the same concept as we were be it in college or being in high school. You pick a topic, you go to the library, you pick out half a dozen books. Now with the advent of the internet, a lot of this stuff is online. With the advent of Amazon, you can buy books, or you could buy used books at a song these days. So you could pick up a half a dozen books on your area that you want to write a book on, and just with less than $100, have them delivered to the house. All right, and then you do your research. In writing books, you learn how to footnote, you learn how to write a bibliography, and the most important thing is the discipline of writing. What type of writer are you? Are you a morning writer? I happen to be a morning writer. Okay, I do my writing in the morning. My mind is fresh, it's clear. I crank out a half hour to an hour. Are you an afternoon writer? Or some people are night writers. Okay. Other than that, there's really no magic. It's really a discipline of writing, and many people, unfortunately, lack that discipline. But if you could put in consistently 15 minutes to a half hour a day at any one of those time slots, okay, just think about how much you could write within 3 months or 6 months. And that's the way I write. I write usually my books within 3 to 6 months based on the topic, based on the situation. But I have the discipline of getting up in the morning and putting that time in. Now, obviously, if you have a family, you have a job, it makes it more difficult, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
How about grammar and style? How do you master that?
Well, number one, the technology has a grammar checker in there for you. That's one option. Option number two is having friends and family read your manuscript. Option number three is to pay a proofreader to proofread your work. To go further, you could pay someone who's a professional editor to edit your work. As for me, I'm not a professional writer, and I don't play one on television. I ain't no good writer, all right? But I've learned to write, and I spend most of my time really editing my own work. So I'll write something, and then I'll go back again and read it again and make the edits. But my grammar, it may not be perfect, but people get the message. And again, what I do with my books, once I write them, they're sent out to a proofreader. If a book is picked up by a publisher, then I'll send it out to a editor, and the editor will scrub it for both grammar and feature functionality.
And you talk about a publisher. Tell me a little bit about the pros and cons of self-publishing versus going for a publisher.
Well, the good thing is you could self-publish. The bad thing is you could self-publish, and what that means is everyone's writing a book. And again, that's a good and a bad thing. The good thing is now everyone has a shot at writing a book, as opposed to years ago, getting a book published was very difficult to do, time-consuming and expensive. The bad thing is, I'm not sure of the number, it's either 1.5 million or 2.5 million new books come in the marketplace every year. So you're competing with all that. The good thing is Amazon.com. The bad thing is Amazon.com. Amazon.com gives a self-published writer a worldwide presence, which you could never do years ago without being associated with a major publishing house. So everything's got its pros and cons, but the work really starts once the book is created. So when I do coaching for book writing, I really emphasize people put the energy and time into writing a good book, the best book that you can write.
And you mentioned Amazon.com will let you showcase your book around the world.
Right.
In what way? How does that work?
Well, the way it works is you open up an account with Amazon, you place your manuscript on there, which consists of a cover and the inside of the book, and you tell them where you want your book displayed, in what country, basically check boxes in your profile, and then the book is displayed all over the country. So if someone's in Japan and wants to look at my book and types in Life Beyond the Pandemic, my book will pop up. It'll be printed in Japan and sold to them in Japan, and I'll get a royalty from it.
Will it be translated into Japanese?
Probably not. Probably unless they buy the ebook and they're able to translate the ebook, the electronic book, and it's written into Japanese.
And if you go on Amazon.com, how do you advertise the book?
Well, you have the opportunity. Number one, where the page of the book is, you could place a blurb in there, but you could also purchase Amazon's advertising services. If you notice, if you ever go on Amazon, you'll see some books that says sponsored next to them. Those books are being placed there by the individual for a fee. So they get better placement.
The publishers want you to go on book tours. If you publish yourself, do you go on a book tour? Or
well, you can. I mean, I can realistically, as I do radio shows, I can do a radio tour, I can do a book tour, but I have to do everything myself, and I have to incur all those costs, as opposed to a publisher will do it for you, and they'll take that out of your royalties.
Do you enjoy writing?
Yeah, I do, because it's going to be part of my legacy. The books will be here till after I'm gone, and I like the fact that I'm reaching people around the world, and hopefully I'm helping them with my writing.
Is there one major theme that your writing projects?
Well, it's pretty much self-help. It's self-help, be it professional, or be it professional development or personal development, it's self-help. In the world of personal development, obviously it's spirituality. I teach meditation, for instance. I believe it's a very useful tool. So I'm always teaching in one capacity or other. But all the theme of all my books, being nonfiction, is self-help.
And we have 2 minutes left. If you want to close out with any final thoughts on self-help or anything else relating to your work, life beyond the pandemic.
Well, the main thing I want to really emphasize with people is we're all here for a reason. And you'll find fulfillment in your life if you strive to find your life purpose. All right? The book helps you with that. So once you find your life purpose, you'll never have another dull day in your life, because you know why you're here. You're here to help people, be of service to others, and you feel the difference in your life. You're not just getting up and just work, sleep, rinse and repeat. You're making a difference in the world. You're making a difference to other people. You're making a difference in your own life.
And you feel that that's really benefited you also? Does that keep you going?
Well, that's what keeps me going. I believe we're all here for a reason and a purpose. And unfortunately, many people don't find that reason and purpose, and they go on to just watching the grass grow after they retire. And they were very vital people before they retired, because the job gave them purpose. Now they have to find their own purpose. And again, our life purpose is innate within us. It's hardwired, but many people need some help finding it.
Well, Oreste DAversa, author of Life Beyond the Pandemic, thank you for being on The World of Work with us today. It was a real pleasure. It was a very interesting discussion.
Thank you for having me on your show today. Take care. Be well.
You too. Until next week, this is The World of Work. Coming up next is Gene with Anything Goes. Okay, thank you very much. We're off the air.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me as a guest.
No, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
And I'll get you a copy. You should get it tonight.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care. Be well. Have a good holiday weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.